The summer of 2025 brought a storm of fire to Iran. For 12 long days in June, the skies over the nation were filled with the roar of jets and the terrible sound of explosions. The United States and Israel launched a coordinated and relentless air assault, a campaign of immense power aimed directly at the heart of Iran's most sensitive programs. The primary targets were the country's major nuclear facilities, sites that had long been a source of deep international tension and suspicion. This was not a minor skirmish or a brief exchange of fire. It was a sustained and destructive military operation designed to cripple Iran's strategic capabilities and send a powerful, unequivocal message to its leadership. The reasons behind this massive attack were rooted in years of escalating conflict and mistrust. The international community, led by Washington and Tel Aviv, had grown increasingly worried about Iran's nuclear ambitions. They feared that Tehran was on the verge of developing a nuclear weapon, a development they saw as an existential threat to regional stability and global security. Diplomatic efforts had stalled, and patience had run out. The strikes were presented as a necessary, if drastic, measure to prevent a nuclear-armed Iran. For Iran, however, the assault was seen as a flagrant act of aggression, a violation of its sovereignty, and a brutal attempt to undermine its right to self-defense and technological advancement. The human and material cost of the air war was devastatingly high. Nearly 1,100 people were killed in the attacks, a staggering number that included not just facility workers, but also high-ranking military chiefs and commanders from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The loss of this experienced leadership created a significant void in Iran's command structure, sending shockwaves through its defense establishment. Beyond the human toll, the physical damage was extensive. Key infrastructure at nuclear sites was left in ruins, setting back Iran's program significantly. The attacks left a deep scar on the nation, a collective trauma that would fuel a powerful desire for both retribution and a stronger defense. A fragile ceasefire now holds, but the quiet that has descended is filled with tension and uncertainty. The air war may have ended, but the underlying conflict is far from resolved. The attacks have fundamentally altered the strategic landscape of the Middle East, leaving Iran feeling exposed and vulnerable. The leadership in Tehran now faces a critical challenge: how to rebuild, how to respond, and how to ensure that such a devastating attack can never happen again. The nation is at a crossroads, forced to confront its weaknesses and devise a new strategy for survival in a hostile environment where its enemies have demonstrated a clear willingness to use overwhelming force. In the aftermath of the destructive air campaign, Iran's leadership knew that a simple return to the old ways was not an option. The country's defenses had been tested and found wanting. A new approach was needed, one that was more coordinated, more robust, and more resilient. The decision to create a new body to oversee the nation's defense came from the very top of Iran's power structure. The Supreme National Security Council, which stands as the country's highest and most powerful security body, convened to address the crisis. It was this influential group that officially sanctioned the formation of a new entity, the Supreme National Defense Council. This new council is not being led by a military hardliner, but by the newly elected Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian. His leadership signals a desire to integrate political and military decision-making at the highest level. The council is designed to be a powerful coalition of the most important figures in Iran's government and military. It will bring together a diverse group of leaders who are all critical to the country's security. This structure is intended to break down silos and ensure that every aspect of national defense, from diplomacy to military operations, is working in perfect harmony toward a common set of goals. The membership of the council reflects its comprehensive mission. Alongside President Pezeshkian will be the Speaker of Iran's parliament and the head of the judiciary, representing the legislative and legal branches of government. Critically, the chiefs of all major military branches, including the regular army known as Artesh and the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, will be key members. Their inclusion ensures that military planning and operational command are directly linked to the country's political leadership. This direct line of communication is seen as essential for rapid and effective decision-making in any future crisis. Completing the roster are the heads of ministries most directly involved in national security. This will almost certainly include the Minister of Defense, who oversees the armed forces logistics and procurement, as well as the Ministers of Intelligence and Foreign Affairs. This broad membership base is a clear indication that Iran sees its defense not just in military terms, but as a holistic effort. The Council will be a place where diplomatic strategy, intelligence gathering, and military preparedness are discussed and aligned, creating a unified front to protect the nation's interests at home and abroad. The goal is to create an unbreakable chain of command and strategy. The primary mission of the new Supreme National Defense Council is clear and urgent: to fundamentally overhaul and strengthen Iran's ability to protect itself. Its purpose is not just to react to threats, but to proactively develop comprehensive defensive plans that can anticipate and counter future aggression. The Council has been given a broad mandate to assess every component of the nation's security apparatus. It will be tasked with identifying the weaknesses that were so brutally exposed during the June air war and implementing concrete solutions to fix them. This is about building a more formidable and resilient defense from the ground up. A central part of the Council's work will be to improve the capabilities of Iran's armed forces. This involves more than just acquiring new weapons. It means enhancing training, modernizing command and control systems, and ensuring that different branches of the military can operate together seamlessly. The Council will likely oversee major investments in air defense systems, electronic warfare capabilities, and other technologies designed to counter the military superiority of adversaries like the United States and Israel. The goal is to make any future attack so costly for the aggressor that they will think twice before launching one. Furthermore, the Council's responsibilities extend beyond the battlefield. It is tasked with ensuring national resilience in the face of attack. This includes protecting critical infrastructure, securing communication networks, and preparing the civilian population for potential conflicts. The 12-day air war highlighted the vulnerability of not just military sites, but also the essential services that support the country. The Council will develop strategies to harden these targets and ensure that the government can continue to function and the country can continue to operate even under extreme duress. It is a plan for total national defense. Ultimately, the Council is meant to be the central nervous system of Iran's defense strategy. By bringing together political, judicial, and military leaders, it aims to create a unified and agile decision-making body. This structure is designed to speed up response times in a crisis and ensure that all elements of national power are wielded in a coordinated fashion. Whether it's a diplomatic initiative, an intelligence operation, or a military deployment, the Council will be the body that provides the strategic direction. Its creation is an admission of past failures and a determined step toward building a more secure future for the Islamic Republic. The idea of a centralized defense council is not entirely new to Iran. The nation's leaders are drawing upon a model from a defining period in their modern history. During the brutal and protracted Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s, Iran established a very similar body, the Supreme Defense Council. That earlier council was created out of necessity to manage a full-scale conventional war that threatened the very existence of the newly formed Islamic Republic. It was responsible for coordinating the war effort, mobilizing the population, and making the critical strategic decisions that ultimately allowed Iran to survive the 8-year conflict. That historical precedent is incredibly significant. The war with Iraq was a foundational experience for the current generation of Iranian leaders, many of whom fought in it. The memory of that struggle and the mechanisms used to endure it are deeply ingrained in their strategic thinking. By reviving the concept of a Supreme Defense Council, they are turning to a familiar and tested tool of statecraft. They believe that if such a body could steer the nation through the immense challenges of the 1980s, it can do so again in the face of the threats posed today by the United States and Israel. The decision to re-establish this council now underscores the gravity with which Iran's leadership views its current predicament. The June 2025 air war was not seen as a one-time event, but as the beginning of a new and more dangerous phase of conflict. In their eyes, the nation is effectively on a war footing, even with a ceasefire in place. The Council is therefore a tool of emergency governance, a clear signal that the country must organize itself for a long-term struggle. It is a move made with the belief that Iran's sovereignty and survival are once again on the line, just as they were 40 years ago. In conclusion, the creation of the Supreme National Defense Council is Iran's definitive answer to the recent devastating attacks. It is a bold and strategic move born from a sense of profound vulnerability. By centralizing command under a council of its most powerful figures and drawing on the lessons of its own history, Iran is preparing for a future it expects will be fraught with peril. The council represents a national commitment to strengthen its shield, sharpen its sword, and ensure that the nation can withstand the storms it sees gathering on the horizon. It is a clear statement that Iran will not be broken and is resolved to meet future threats with a unified and powerful response.